And welcome back to Sports Overtime. Now, it's no secret the Gulf Coast has produced some of the most iconic names in all of Major League Baseball. Author Jason Cannon has a new book highlighting Willie McCovey and Billy Williams, both Mobile natives. WKRG's Peter Albrecht caught up with Cannon about the new book.
Well, if you are a fan of Mobile sports history or a baseball fan, especially of the 60s and 70s, you'll want to read a new book that just came out called A Time for Reflection, written by Jason Cannon, who joins us now live. And Jason, this is a book looking at the parallel legacies of two of Mobile's greats, Willie McCovey and Billy Williams. Tell me why you decided to write the book and what you knew about those two guys and Mobile's baseball history before you started the project.
Well, going in, I didn't know a lot about them, as I was soon to discover. But one of the really neat things about learning about both McCovey and Williams is indeed the parallels. Both born in 1938, both made their big league debuts in '59, both National League Rookies of the Year, went into the Hall of Fame a year apart, and girl dads. And so looking at their history was incredible, and throughout that process, uncovering more and more about the baseball legacy in Mobile, Alabama. It was a lot of fun and remarkable stuff.
Now, how long did the whole process take? And I know you came down to Mobile to do some research here.
I did. It took me about 3.5 years, and that included an extended trip down to Mobile. It was great to just get a chance to meet people, see what was happening with the waterfront project in terms of the Hall of Fame statue development, and just get a sense for where they lived. I knew that they were born not too far apart, and it's a short drive. You can do it in just a few minutes, so it really is remarkable how close they all were.
Yeah, and it's incredibly well-researched book, very interesting read for sure. And when we think about McCovey and Williams, both these guys, for a part of their career, were kind of second fiddle really on their teams, right? I mean, McCovey was kind of in the shadow of Willie Mays forever, and Billy was in the shadow of Ernie Banks. So there's another parallel right there. Do you think these two get their due nationally? I know they do in San Francisco and Chicago, but nationally, do they get their due for what they accomplished on the field?
I think it's a great question. I think that the two of them, had they played almost anywhere else without those two great players who you mentioned, I think the situation would probably be a little bit different. I think in addition to that, the ballparks took a few home runs away, and so when you talk about McCovey potentially hitting 600, Bill, the thing about Billy too is his consecutive game streak. If you were a Cubs fan and you bought a ticket to watch the Cubs play between 1963 and 1970, he was in the lineup. And so I think you're right, there's a love affair between fans in the cities and these two players. Nationally, perhaps not as well recognized in terms of accomplishments. Postseason probably has something to do with that as well. But just two remarkable, not just players, but men who left an incredible legacy on the game.
Yeah, you talk about the postseason. Billy Williams never played in the World Series. McCovey plays in one early on. He's almost the hero in the bottom of the seventh with 2 outs, and then there's the hard-hit line drive. And you talk a lot about that particular incident in your book.
It's crazy to think that McCovey's most famous at-bat is an out. Here's a guy who retired having hit 521 home runs, more than any other left-handed hitter in the history of the National League up until that time. And as I mentioned, his most famous at-bat was an out. So an irony there. He handled it with grace and class throughout his life, asked about it a lot, but I'm sure he had hoped it was 6 inches higher or 6 inches to Bobby Richardson's left or right, to be sure.
You know, here in Mobile, Hank Aaron, for example, is revered. There's a stadium named after him, a park, a road that loops downtown. Satchel Paige and Billy Williams both have streets named for them. Not so much with McCovey. He's got a complicated relationship with Mobile, and you delve into that. Why do you think there was that problem there that never really got resolved between Willie and Mobile?
I think once McCovey moved and lived in California full time, I think he set his life up there, and he was not really interested in returning. He would on occasion to see family members, or perhaps the winter meetings were in Florida, and so he would take a quick visit to check in with people he knew, and specifically his family. But yeah, it was a relationship that he was not interested in pursuing, and he made that pretty clear throughout his life. And I think it's different than some of the other players who came from the area, but Mac just didn't really want to revisit a lot of those memories from his younger days, and really at the end of the day did not.
All right. Well, Jason, the book is great. I hope people will buy it and read it. It's called A Time for Reflection, The Parallel Legacies of Baseball Icons Willie McCovey and Billy Williams. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Great stuff there. Thanks to both Peter and Jason. You can find that book right now on Amazon.